Can you tell me about the incident? Do you feel unsafe?
Yeah. My mom said I had to finish my history homework before I went to Justin's. And I was like, it's not due till Friday. And she was like, well, you're gonna finish it up right away. And I was like, no. And I ran out.
And then what happened?
And then I was like, if it's due on Friday, I'm not finishing it on Wednesday, and that's final.
So you ran away because your mom asked you to do your homework?
Yeah. And Justin's gonna be at an away game tomorrow, so I won't even get to see him.
Okay, give me back my jeans.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Boys Watching Girls. We are just two boys watching HBO's Girls. We are your hosts. I'm Joe Welke.
I am Vance.
And today we
hold up, Joe. Hold up. This is the last episode. We can't just play like the regular intro and just like go in like nothing big is happening. All right, we need to run this thing back.
This is the Boys Watching Girls Podcast.
They got some wild predictions that are mostly wrong, but they won't concede. They ain't going for long. Like Vance predicting Adam would sleep with Marnie. He's still not backing down, not even partially. Even though the finale coming up, it's never surrender. Cause it's never over, there's room for a mind bender. So for now, the critique's on deck and in full order. Just like Joe's fashion corner. And Joe always got something to say with character outfits. From dresses, earrings down to lipsticks. But when it comes down to Shoshana's apartment, the thoughts get put on the back of a carton. Cause Joe and Vance can't figure out the layout. It's like a magical dragon's playhouse. But in the end it comes down to likability rankings. And from the start Marnie and Jess's kept tanking. Yeah, the boys keeping it hot like the top of the stove. Turning it up straight from alcove. Cause you are now in tune to the Boys Watching Girls.
I want to give a shout out to @Broadcast Kings for putting that together.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
How did you fucking find someone to do that?
I found him on Fiverr, and it was seamless, and he put it together, and I think it came out great.
Dude, that was fucking awesome, dude. Like, shout out that people again. What is it again?
@Broadcast King, and I'll put him in the show notes too.
Broadcast King, thank you so much. That was incredible, dude. It's incredible. And it is a celebration, Vance. Vance, we fucking made it.
We watched 62 episodes of Girls. We set out to start watching this series last year.
Before pandemic, we used to record these together in person.
Yeah.
And dude, did you think we were going to make it?
I mean, once it's like a snowball going downhill, you know, it kept going. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know if we'd be like, okay, this show got to a point where we were like, I don't know if we can do it anymore. Because second season was rough. Second season was rough on us. But I don't know. We did it.
We fucking made it.
We did it.
Everyone, thank you for listening. Yeah. This is the last episode of Girls. We made it through the whole series.
Yeah.
And this is episode.
It's not the last episode of Boys Watching Girls, but it is the last episode of the Girls
Fear
series.
not.
Yes.
Fear not. Boys Watching Girls will continue. I don't know whether it'll be under the same moniker or what, but we're going to continue podcasting, Vance and I.
Yeah, and we got a couple more episodes. We're gonna have to really wrap this thing up.
We've got some stuff planned. We got some stuff planned. We've got a couple more episodes coming down the old pipe. What is it?
I'm gonna say pipe.
Okay.
Right?
Well, whatever. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. We're stupid. Anyway, so this is the last episode of the series. This is episode 62. It's season 6, episode 10. It is titled Latching. It is directed by Jenny Connor, written by Lena Dunham, Jenny Connor, and Judd Apatow. The original air date was April 16th, 2017, to an audience of 741,000 people, 0.714 million. And holy shit, Vance. What did you think about this? Initial thoughts.
This should not have been a finale episode.
Yeah.
I didn't love the episode, but I think if this episode was in the middle or a random episode in a season, like if this was episode 3 of season 7, I'd be like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, I'm with you. This felt, to me, this felt like an unnecessary epilogue. Like we said it in the last episode, that last episode felt like the finale to us.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what else could be added. And what was added, I didn't like.
Yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing that I needed from this, really.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about this anime that I really love called Steins Gate all the time to Vance. I don't know if we've talked about it on air here, but there's 24 episodes and then it has this like perfect ending. And then there's an extra episode that is kind of like an epilogue. And it feels so unnecessary because the actual ending was so sweet. And this felt like that, where it's like, oh, that just kind of ruined the perfect ending. This feels like it kind of ruined the perfect ending from the last episode. Vance never made it to the end of Steins Gate because he hated it so much, but
yeah. I don't know, like it kind of ruins it if you're expecting to go in and get a finale. Because last episode kind of had that really nice finale wrap up, the end montage.
Yeah, it had like a nice bow on it.
Yeah, the way this ends isn't a way that you feel like you need a show to be. You know what I mean?
Well, the way this ends too also feels like there's going to be more.
Yeah.
But there's not.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like I need to watch what happens next with these characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it is titled Latching, and I was predicting that it had to do with breastfeeding, and I was correct.
Yep. Way to nail it on the last episode, getting that prediction right.
I would say that our prediction accuracy percentage is like 10 to 15%.
Yeah. I'll give us 10%.
Yeah, that's it's not good, but whatever. All right, shall we get into it?
Yeah. Do you just want to go in order with this episode? Because it's not enough to switch around.
Yeah, I mean that's how I took notes on it too. It's just all right.
This is a weird finale episode, man.
Yeah. It is intensely weird.
Yeah.
So starts off with Hannah in bed, like so many of the season, the first episode of season intros where Hannah's in bed with somebody. But this one's kind of cyclical because the first episode of the series, she's lying in bed with Marnie. And in this one, she's lying in bed with Marnie. And I am going to be honest with you. I didn't know that it was Marnie because her legs looked insanely tan. That I was like, who is this?
I was really confused when I saw us panning up on legs. I was like, what are we, who are we with here?
Yeah. Yeah, and her legs looked so tan that I honestly thought it was going to be like a person of color. Or maybe like Paul Louis, or I had no idea. And then it was Marnie. I was like, oh my God, Marnie's fucking ridiculously tan.
That's just your low res SD.
Yeah, that could be. Could be. So yeah, we pan up to Marnie in bed with Hannah, and Hannah wakes up and she freaks out. She's like, Marnie, what the fuck are you doing here? When did you get here? And Marnie's like, I got here at like 1 a.m. last night and thought I'd just like cuddle up with you. And yeah, we see that Marnie wants to help Hannah raise her baby because she's got nothing else going on in her life. She lives with her mom. Her band broke up, and she basically shits all over Hannah, being like, you don't have any other friends. All of your friends aren't here. I'm here. I win. I'm the best friend.
Yeah.
Which is psychotic.
It's crazy. It's single white female level, like that movie where I think someone has a roommate and they become obsessed with them.
Oh, really?
I mean, she sounds insane right there. Like, and she's staring.
It's psychotic.
And Hannah's like reluctantly agreeing to this. And I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be a big moment where Hannah has to push Marnie away.
Yeah. Yeah, because Marnie's like, I decided I want to help you raise your baby with you. And Hannah's like, well, this is sounding a lot like Adam's pitch, and that didn't work out. And then Marnie says something like, well, where are the rest of your friends, Hannah? I'm here, but where's Elijah? He's not here. Jessa's sure as hell not here. Adam's not here. Shoshana hates us. I'm the only one left. I win. I'm your best friend, and I'm here to help you. And it's just like, Jesus, this is fucking... Number one, it's a brutal takedown of Hannah, being like, all your friends hate you, basically. And then it's psychotic on the narcissist level of like, I win. I'm the winner.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know you were in the game for this.
Right?
Know you were trying anymore.
Dude.
Because I would have loved that to be a thing. Like last episode, we see Hannah make up with Jessa, like at the end. And it's like, oh, okay. And they really push later in the seasons how Hannah was really good friends with Jessa, even though the series started with Marnie being the best friend, you know? Yeah. And then that dissipated. And then it was like, oh, me and Jessa had this strong friendship and whatever. But yeah. And you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say I'm a little disappointed we didn't get the Adam Marnie hookup that this show so desperately needed.
Yeah.
For my prediction to be right. Yeah.
I'm disappointed that we didn't get a Ray Jessa hookup where he completes the quadfecta of hooking up with all of the girls.
Yeah. If you consider what happened in that coffee truck to be hooking up, which yeah.
So then we get the title card, and it is a pan out for all of the title cards for the entire series, I think. Right? Is that what you think it was?
That's what I thought it was. I guess so. I was so focused on the one animated one.
Yeah, me too.
And I was like, when did we see this? Because I think we only seen the animated one once, right?
Yeah. That was the only one that Yeah. So then we get a jump forward to 5 months later, and Hannah has given birth to her fucking baby, Grover. She took Paul Louis' suggestion on what she should name the baby. Real stupid name.
Wait, what is the baby's last name? Grover Horvath?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, why would she give it Paul Louis' last name?
We don't even know his last name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Grover Horvath. All right.
Wow.
I wonder what that kid's nickname will be, because he's not going to go by Grover.
He can go by Grovito, like fucking what's-her-face was calling him. Marnie calls him that.
Oh, God. I didn't notice that.
So Hannah's at the doctor's office getting a checkup for Grover. And she's her typical paranoid hypochondriac self being like, oh, is he a healthy weight? And the doctor is like, yeah, everything looks good. And she's like, well, when I birthed him, he was only 10 pounds and now he's only 13 pounds. Is that normal? The doctor's like, it's totally normal. And then she's like, yeah, okay, well, I know that you're here now, but where's my actual doctor? Because apparently she has a normal female doctor that I guess she built trust with, and she's on vacation and she doesn't trust this, as she calls him, a part-time substitute teacher doctor. What an asshole. But she feels more comfortable. I guess that kind of makes sense, because if your doctor knows the story and the history.
It's fine to be comfortable with the other doctor, but you don't have to shame this one for doing his job and giving you information that he knows more than she does. He's not mansplaining. He's a doctor. He's like... Yeah.
But Hannah brings up that Grover has been having trouble breastfeeding with her. And he's like, well, it takes time. Breastfeeding's kind of weird like that. Some babies do it right away and it's supernatural. And some babies have a harder time with it. And that's also supernatural. But, if you have such a hard time breastfeeding, you can give it formula. And Hannah's like, I don't want to give it formula. I want it to be breastfed. And he's like, well, okay. I mean, you can keep trying. But, it's going to be tough sometimes. And so she goes back out into the waiting room, and Marnie's there waiting with her. And it's kind of like her and Marnie are like a married couple at this point now.
Yeah, it's and it feels like that's what they're going for. And then in the middle of the episode, it kind of switches from that.
Yeah.
Because I thought they were really just going to play with that like married couple trope. Like they seem like they're just a lesbian couple that has a kid together that lives in a massive house.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Unreal.
When Marnie first comes in and she's like, "Oh, Hannah, you've been sleeping for like 13 hours." And I'm like, wait, how's that possible? Like, with the baby. Like, with the baby there.
Looking after this poor baby?
Where does the baby go when she was teaching if Marnie wasn't there?
I don't know. There was a lot of moments like that in this episode where it's like, well, where's the baby?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have any babies. I don't know how much surveillance they need, but it seems like it was kind of lacking in this. But so yeah, then her and Marnie have some kind of talk about like, oh, I don't trust this substitute teacher doctor, and he's suggesting formula, and then Marnie's like, yeah, a bunch of these kids in here look like a bunch of formula babies, like,
I know,
with some stank on it. Like,
yeah,
she says it's so insulting.
I'm like, Marnie is awful in the beginning of this episode. Just
absolutely.
I was like, are we going to get to a point where it's just like, this is it? Like,
yep.
Because I mean, they just keep doubling down on it.
Yeah. And so then they leave the doctor's place, and you know, Marnie and Hannah are continuing their conversation about breastfeeding and how difficult it is. And then Marnie puts on some kind of music on the radio, and she starts singing along with it. And for some reason, Hannah's like, could you please stop singing? And Marnie's like, come on, it's fun. You know, you like it. And she keeps singing. And Hannah's like, no, I really don't like it. And I'm asking you nicely to stop. And Marnie continues. And then Hannah just like kind of freaks out. She's like, turn it off. Turn it off. I hate it. Grover hates it. I hate it. Turn it off. Yeah. And so Marnie turns it off. And then Grover immediately starts crying.
Isn't it? It's Fast Car. Tracy Chapman, I think. Is that? It's Fast. I know the song's Fast Car.
Yeah.
That she was singing. And yeah, when Marnie's like, oh, I know you're just joking about not singing along, and then she continues singing, I was like, that is psychotic. Like, I thought it was continuation of that opening scene where she's just going to be like so controlling, which is in her nature, but to the point where like Hannah was going to have to kick her out. Like, I thought that's what we were going to get to.
Yeah, I thought it was going to go down the route of like Marnie being like, I'm a better mother to Grover than you, and I know what's best for this baby, because that's, you know, as we go along, and that's kind of the route it was going. And I was like, this is insanity. And then the insanity just continued. Like,
yeah. Like when they get out of the car, like Hannah's wants to apologize, and Marnie's like, no, there's nothing to say because, you know, you just yelled at me for loving music. And it was just like, oh man, this is...
So these two are going to make a demon baby.
Yeah. And I'm like
the way that they're raising this.
The baby's too young to really know anything right now. But did we need a 5-month time leap for this? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I guess because
I just. All right, yeah, we'll continue. This episode's such a strange. If it's like a random episode, like I don't know what the message like to wrap up all of Girls is here.
But back in the car when they're having a conversation, Marnie asks her if like the doctor suggested for her to pump her breast to get the milk out, and Hannah's like, yeah, but I work at a university and like I can't be having a breast pump walking around on the campus. What if there's a student I want to fuck?
Yep, I noted that line and I was like, wow.
Yep. And then Marnie is like, well, yeah, that's such an immature thing to say or whatever. And then Hannah makes some kind of argument about how she's mad that Marnie doesn't want to try her breast milk. And I was like, what is happening?
I will say, I think I do find it funny how off-put people are about breast milk and like adults tasting breast milk when we drink cow's milk. You know, like I do think that's just like that little mind thing. You're like, oh, look at that cow. Yeah, I'll drink from that teat, but I will drink from a human's teat. You know, like it's just one of those things I always think is interesting. But
would you drink someone else's breast milk?
Probably not. No, like I wouldn't have any real desire to. Like,
yeah,
but
I'm
just
just
saying,
think
like,
I would either.
Yeah, it's just like a weird thing where you'll do that. You'll have like goat's milk or sheep's milk or something, but but human milk is like completely taboo. Like,
Yeah,
it's a weird.
You know, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because like thinking about it, like I don't think I would want to try it. I would only want to try it just to see if it tastes like regular milk.
Yeah.
Do you think it does?
But at some
Right
point
in.
you've had breast milk probably as a kid.
Well,
Unless
yeah,
you were all
probably.
formula and like whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird.
It's always something that's brought up in these scenes. Like I think Friends did it. Every sitcom that's had a kid in it, someone accidentally drank some breast milk that's in the fridge or something, or put it in a coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they go into the house and Hannah's trying to get Grover to breastfeed and he's not doing it. And she's like, come on. And eventually her goading turns into anger. She calls Grover a fuckhead. She's like, you know, you're being a real fuckhead right now. She's like, God damn.
I kind of love this scene. I just felt bad for the stunt baby, you know?
Yeah.
Like I always think about the parent off screen whose kid that is. That's just like being yelled at.
Yeah.
Oh.
But Grover is not latching on. And so then Hannah's trying to swaddle Grover and she swaddles him a certain way and she picks him up and she's like, that is a swaddle. And then Grover starts crying his eyes out. And Marnie's like, no.
Well, the thing is she swaddles him, lifts him up, and the blanket falls off him completely.
Yeah.
And then Marnie goes, oh no, this is how you do it. And Hannah is like rolling her eyes, like frustrated, like, oh, that's a different way to do it. I'm like, Hannah, the way you did it didn't even stay on.
Yeah.
Like if you just did it,
the baby
a different
wasn't
way.
swaddled. Like once she touched the baby, it was like it exploded into like.
Yeah, I was just like, if you want to like make that work, it's like she does it, but it's sloppy, not like it's non-existent. Like it was on the floor.
Like a swaddle is supposed to be tight, you know. And that's what Marnie does. Marnie swaddles. She's like, no, that's not how you do it. Here you go. She's like backseat driving, backseat mothering.
But at that point, I think she needed to. Like, that's the one time I think she actually needed to do that.
Yeah, so she swaddles him. She's like, there you go. And then Grover stops crying. And Hannah's like, fuck you. So then she's trying to breastfeed Grover again. And Marnie's reading some book about, like, you know, giving Hannah tips and kind of backseat mothering her again, being like, oh, you should really try this. And like, this is what you need to do. And Hannah's super fucking annoyed by it. And Marnie says something about like, well, it could help if you get somebody else to help you with it. So I can help you try and do it. And Hannah's like, oh no, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, something about like enveloping the
yeah, Marnie's like, are you making your nipple an envelope? And Hannah's like, it's envelope. Stop being so pretentious.
Yeah. Says the professor of the college.
It's so annoying, dude. Like watching this, like both of them are being so annoying.
Yeah. And this reverted back to, and I think if you were looking at the series like we have, when Hannah and Marnie are together, it brings out the worst in Hannah a lot of the times. Because Hannah has, I remember what was dislikable about Hannah. And it was always the way that she reacted to situations by cutting people down. It was like her, like the stuff that she would say would be like the worst. It wasn't so much what she did all the time. It was just like the stuff she said.
Yeah. Well, it's always like when she's in situations like this, she gets this huge victim complex. Like everyone's out to get me, and then starts lashing out at people being like, well, you only want to help me because you're a narcissist and like you're making this all about yourself and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And that's basically what this whole episode is. And it's so insanely unlikable.
Exactly. And it doubles down, triple downs on this. Yeah.
it's rough. And, Marnie, she's being annoying in like a helicopter backseat parent type thing. But it seems like her heart's kind of in the right place where she's trying to help. But I could see how it would be fucking really annoying for Hannah.
Yeah, I feel like Marnie's good to have around just to have a second person to help you take care of the kid.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like Marnie's personality is so awful that like having to put up with her would be a pain.
Yeah. I didn't think about this until just now. Like, what is Marnie doing for work? Is Marnie working?
Oh no, she's there's a line that she says like, I don't get paid enough for this, or it's above my pay grade or something. Oh, when she calls the mom, she's like, yeah, I need help. This is above my pay grade. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I think she's just living there for free.
Just freeloading.
Well, not free.
No, freeloading, taking care of the baby.
Yeah, I mean, she's basically a live-in nanny.
Yeah. So then we get a scene of Hannah and Marnie like eating dinner and watching not Sesame Street, Full House, and they're having some banter about John Stamos, and then Marnie brings up like, hey, I saw this like wine bar thing going on, and I kind of want to go to it. It seems pretty cool. Like you learn about wine from a sommelier, and there's going to be a live jazz trio there. And then Hannah immediately starts shitting all over. She's like, a live jazz trio? That sounds fucking awful. Why would you want to go to that? The only thing that would be worse than that is a live jazz quadrangle. And Marnie's like, I don't know. I think it'd be fun, and I really want to go. I just kind of need to get out. And Hannah's like, so you just want to go? I wouldn't be able to go because who's going to watch Grover then? And then Marnie's kind of like, yeah, that's kind of the point.
Yeah, like Hannah's like, we can get cheese in here if you want cheese.
Yeah,
it's gonna be like a cheese plate. But that was one of those things where I thought we were really gonna start doubling down on the couple, because it was like Hannah was the grizzled dad or a husband that won't let the wife do anything else, because he's like even when she's done her juice box, she's like, I'm finished with this, like, and hands it to her to get her another one, like Marnie just works for her.
Well, I felt like it was a scene where it was like Marnie is being the mother to both Hannah and Grover.
Yeah, I mean, I viewed it more of like them being a relationship couple. Like she just wants to get out for a night, and like he won't, and like Hannah won't let her go, even though like Hannah can take care of the baby that night. Like,
Hannah should take care of the baby. Yeah. Like, it's her baby.
Yeah, like I mean,
and Marnie didn't have to volunteer to do this.
Yeah, even regular couples do that. Like,
yeah,
like you're like, oh, I got something, so I'm gonna watch the baby this night. I've got something, you watch the baby this. Like, there's a trade-off. Let her go out.
Yeah,
like, it's been 5 months or whatever it is.
Yeah, and Hannah looks so annoyed that Marnie would even suggest like,
yep,
I want to go out. She's just like, you mean you're just going to go and I'm not going to go? Like, that's bullshit.
It's like, you had a baby.
Yeah.
Like, you've made your decision.
Yeah, man. This is why I thought it was like a mothering thing, because Hannah's being pouty and annoying. And after that, like, juice box thing, I was like, oh my God. And Marnie's like, Marnie didn't sign up to be a mom to both of them.
Yeah.
So that's why. And then so she's like, you know what? Forget it. I'm not going to do it. And then Hannah's like, well, I mean, how often does it happen? Maybe you can go next week or something.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I felt bad for Marnie so much in that situation.
Which is the first time they've actually got us to really feel bad about Marnie.
Right?
And with the juice box, that's a good point about her being like another child with the juice box. That really visually hones in on that. So
yeah, it was so gross. Like, it was just gross, man.
I mean, Marnie was this Marnie's whole thing? Was that her whole goal? Like, throughout the series to like end up here?
I can't imagine that's what it was going to be.
Like, she's been here for almost half a year with Hannah.
Yeah. Well, we get to a point later in the episode where, well, I'll save it. But
we're we're powering through this. Let's go.
Yeah.
This is such a weird one.
Yeah.
I really expected some giant blowout for like the last episode.
Again, I think the last episode should have been the finale. Like, it just felt like a perfect ending, and then this felt so unnecessary, and it made me dislike characters, and I don't know, man.
It was a weird one. We were texting, like, you texted me like right after you had watched it, and I was like in the middle of watching it, and I texted you, and I was like, this episode, man.
Yeah, I texted you this episode, and then you texted me back, this is a nightmare.
It really does harken back to like full circle, like when we first started watching the show and just being like, what are these characters and where are they going? And I thought they kind of, last episode kind of wrapped it all up. The one before this, but yeah.
Yeah. So then Marnie's taking thirst trap pictures in the bathroom to send to somebody who we haven't yet met or heard about. Mm-hmm. So I was a little confused about that.
I thought she was just taking pictures to get on like a dating site or OnlyFans or something. I wasn't sure if she was doing it specifically for a person. I thought she was just kind of getting it out there.
Post it on the gram.
Yeah.
Get loads of likes on that shit, dude. And then fucking Hannah bursts in because Grover's just bawling his eyes out. She's like, fucking Grover hates me. Will you please take care of him? I've been trying to breastfeed him and he's just crying and he hates me. He hates me like all men hate me, and you deal with it. Gives Marnie Grover, and Marnie's like in this like sexy lingerie, and then Hannah like thrusts Grover upon her and then leaves. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah, and no acknowledgement of Marnie standing in front of a mirror taking selfies of herself. Just like, can't handle the baby, crying, giving it. Yeah.
Nope. It's so gross. It's so gross, dude.
Why did Marnie sign up for this, though?
Because she wins. This is her prize.
This is what she wanted. Okay, you got it.
This is her prize, man. She won the best friend contest. Yeah. And she's proving that she's the best friend by being miserable.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I don't know. So then Laureen shows up, Hannah's mom, and Hannah's been like asleep for 11 hours. Apparently she's just zonked out. And then Laureen like screams at her to wake up. She's like, you've been asleep for 11 hours.
Grover's crying in the background too. Like,
yeah, Grover's been awake for 3 hours. Yeah. And at that point I was like, well, then who's been looking after Grover? Like, what's...
Why are you standing in the doorway? Why are you not holding the baby? Where's Marnie? Like, there's so many questions. Why is that baby... Like, babies cry. Sometimes you can leave a baby crying if that's the thing, if you're trying to, like...
Let it cry it out or whatever.
But, like, I don't know if anybody's even checked in. They're just... Everyone's checking in on Hannah.
Yeah, I also don't know protocol. I'm obviously not a parent. But... I would assume, I would think that like a baby that young would be in the same room as the parents.
It could be. Yeah. I mean, it's no reason not to be in, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it could definitely be in a crib right next to the bed, making it easier for you.
Yeah. Everyone listening to this is finding out I'm going to be a horrible father.
like you put the baby in the basement. That's the best way to raise it.
Yeah. So Laureen comes in and she shows up, and then Hannah's pissed about her mom being there, and she yells at Marnie about it because Marnie called her to come help.
Why is she pissed that her mom is there? I don't get it.
I don't know either, man.
Like, that's just another helping hand. You guys can now go to that wine place while she watches the baby tonight. Like, what are you doing? Like, that is...
Yeah, so she like storms out of the house with a breast pumps on, and she, Marnie's playing with Grover, and Grover seems to be having a good time. And Hannah comes outside and she's like, you called my fucking mom to come help? What's your problem? Like, what are you doing? Like, we've got this handled. And Marnie's like, we don't have this handled, dude. Like, I can't take this. Like, this is above my pay grade. I can't do this. Like, I need to go out or something. Like, I need some kind of not being around you and the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Then Hannah's like, oh, well, what a best friend you are. You signed up for this and you said you're going to help me. And now look at you. You're a terrible friend. She says that Marnie came to help her and she's doing a bad job and that Marnie's immature, and she storms back into the house.
Yeah. And then Marnie says, you look like a Ghostbuster or something, which I thought was funny. Because she has that, like, she has that breast pumping vest on. Like it's like a double, like a black vest that has like the double pumps.
But this is exactly what you were talking about Hannah being in terrible situations and then lashing out at people. Because Marnie, based on what we've seen, Marnie's a much better at this than Hannah.
Yeah, and like she was annoying and like just showing up, forcing herself in there. The stuff she was saying at the waiting room about other people's kids, not shutting up in the car. Like a lot of bad things. But the one thing she's doing well is like she knows how to swaddle a baby. She knows how to hold the baby, and she's reading the books. So she's, with all of her flaws, she does have like her pros that are like, okay, this is actually okay for the baby, you know?
See, this is what I'm thinking about, speaking about the pros. So it's more of a thing where Hannah is jealous that Grover, I feel like, likes Marnie better. Because when she's singing in the car, Grover's quiet. And then when she stops singing, Grover starts crying. Marnie swaddles Grover better than her. Marnie seems to know better how to breastfeed him. And like every time we see Marnie with Grover, Grover's having a great time and not crying. And then whenever we see Grover with Hannah, he's crying. And that's why Hannah had an outburst and being like, he hates me. Here, you hold him. Because I think, obviously deep down, Hannah knows that Marnie can calm Grover down. And she's lashing out because she knows that deep down. And she just wants Grover to love her like he loves Marnie, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I can't fully argue against that. It's just they don't really wrap that up in the episode, if that's the case. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And I wish that there was a scene of Hannah being like, look, I know that you're helping and it's awesome that you're helping, but I need to figure this out for myself. And like, this is my kid and I can't just have him like you more than me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what it felt like it was going to be from the beginning, when she like butts in and says, I'm going to help you raise this kid. And she does. And it's like, Hannah, I thought Hannah was going to have to send Marnie away. Like, even if it's just for Marnie's own good to get away. Like, it's not healthy for you to say, I'm just going to latch on and Hannah and her baby will now be my whole life's goal. Like, that is
Vance,
troubling. Yeah.
Uncovering another, a double entendre with Marnie latching on to Hannah's motherhood life.
Yeah. Yeah, if that is the case, then why do we need this episode though still? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if it's just going to be like, oh, Marnie latches on to Hannah's baby, it's like, you got to build to that, it seems, as opposed to just being like, all right, here's a one-off episode of Marnie being obsessed with Hannah, which throughout the last couple seasons, Marnie has not cared what Hannah's been doing. They've barely been in scenes together, you know? So it just comes out of nowhere that she's like, I mean, granted, she's not with Desi and her life is falling apart, but, you know.
Yeah, she's got nothing going on.
But still, you know.
But yeah, so she runs back in the house and then she's taking a bath and Lorene is like commiserating with Hannah and giving her some advice about like, hey, you know, like breastfeeding's hard. Like I had a hard time doing it and like my nipples inverted and they felt terrible. And like, so I just gave you formula, you know, and you turned out fine. And Hannah's like, no, I didn't turn out fine. Maybe I did turn out fine, but I want Grover to be better than fine. I want him to be breastfed. And, you know, because, you know, Marnie gave a bunch of facts about, you know, breastfed kids are usually smarter and they get better jobs or some bullshit like that.
Even though like Marnie's like, I was breastfed for 2 years, and it's like, how did that work out for you? And she's like, it worked out great. It's like, really, Marnie?
Yeah. And Hannah's like, did it?
Did it really? As you're chauffeuring her around.
Yeah. Yeah, with no job, or your only purpose in life is to help your friend, your single mother friend. Like, I don't know. I guess, I don't know, man. I just have no idea what this episode is about.
Yeah. Like, we know what it's about, but we don't know why. Yeah.
So, yeah, Hannah's in the bath and Lorraine and her are commiserating. And then Hannah kind of projects all of her like insecurities about being a mother and being like, I'm worried that I'm going to be a bad mother. Like, I'm overweight. I'm emotionally unstable. I have personality disorders or whatever. And, I'm bad. I'm worried that I'm going to pass that on to Grover and be a terrible mother and be a terrible influence on him. And she's going to make him like a terrible grown up, or she's going to raise him terribly or whatever. And then she's talking about how like no one understands her. And the mom's like, what are you talking about? Like, what, you think that you're the only person going through shit? Yeah. And she's like, Marnie called me weeping, like upset, because you made her feel like such shit. And I took a 5 a.m. flight to come here to help you raise your baby for at least a little while. And then Hannah's like, wow, of course Marnie did that because she's immature and awful or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, like, Hannah plays the victim so hard. Like, the mom is like, who said this would be easy? Like, do you think it was easy for me the last couple of years? Like, do you think parenting is easy? Like, all this stuff? And, like, I mean, there's a big line coming up.
Oh, dude. And I love that Lorraine is giving her, like, a fucking tongue lashing, like, a stern talking to about, like, Marnie thought that you would be mature and make a mature choice, and you did. You signed up for this. Mm-hmm. This isn't anybody else's responsibility. Like, you didn't have to have this baby. You signed up for it, and you can't get out of this. Mm-hmm. Like, this isn't you're not going to be able to get your tuition refunded. You're not going to block someone's number. This isn't Adam. This isn't all your friends. Like, this is a commitment.
You can't break a lease, yeah.
Yeah, this is a commitment that you can't get out of, and you're stuck with it. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be easy. And fucking Hannah is like, oh, well, she's like, I don't know why you're yelling at me. I'm going through emotional pain and distress. And Hannah's mom's like, you know who else is going through emotional pain and distress? Fucking everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing it. She's like, you think that this is easy for me? Like, I am having a real hard time with my life. Your dad is gay, I found out, and like, I'm navigating single waters, and now I'm helping you raise a kid. And then Hannah says, maybe you should have picked a better husband that wasn't gay. And what else did she say?
And then I just wrote down, she calls her mom out for marrying a gay husband and blames her for the way she was raised. Like,
yes, yeah.
It's like, oh, if you didn't marry a gay man, and I would have been raised in a happier household, and I wouldn't have turned out the way I am. Like, just completely putting it on the mom. And it was such a low blow.
Yeah.
And I forget with the Lorraine, like, how she reacts to it, but she's like, she has like a subtle, like, oh, that's below the belt right there.
Yeah, she says, wow. She says something like, wow, thanks, Hannah. I really needed to hear that. Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah.
And then Hannah like storms out. And it is just like, I need a fucking moment of silence for Lorraine's emotions right there. Like, that was so unnecessarily cruel.
Yes. And that's what I was saying. That's the Hannah from earlier seasons where she was low in likability rankings, where I was like, oh yeah, she's just hurtful. Like,
yeah,
like that was so unnecessarily. It's not valid, not even a good argument, because she didn't know her dad was gay that whole time. She grew up in the most normal-esque household she could have. Marnie grew up in a divorce separated household. So did Shoshana. Jessa doesn't know where her mom is, I guess. Like,
compared to her dad was always abandoning her.
Yeah, so compared to all the other ones, she has the most stable home life.
Yeah, and throughout the entire series, all we've ever seen of her parents are that they support her. I mean, they cut her off in the first episode financially, but they support her dreams. I mean, even financially, they'll waffle and be like, we'll help you out if you really need it.
Yeah.
But But like all they've done is support her and her decisions and like give her sage wisdom and try to help. Dude, if I was Lorraine, I would have fucking slapped Hannah. I'd be like, you fucking don't ever talk to me like that. Like, that is so low and so cutting and so. It made me so sad.
The issue I have with this, even though like in the moment it's awful, it doesn't get remedied by the end of the episode either.
No.
It kind of get remedied off screen, but not for Lorraine's benefit. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, well, no, like let's have that scene.
Well, for the rest of the episode, the reason why it doesn't get remedied is because Hannah just like runs away from home for a little bit.
Yeah, which I don't know what this adventure was supposed to be. Like we get I mean we can stay in order and hit it when we hit it.
Yeah, so she storms off and she's like quote unquote run away from home, and she's walking and some guy pulls over. He's driving next to her and he's like, "Hey, are you all right?" Because she's just walking like a crazy woman, and she's like, she says something like, "Yeah, I'm not a hooker, all right." He's like,
she's wearing jeans and like a oversized jeans and hoodie, like even like everything's baggy. She's walking through this cul-de-sac like neighborhood, like in certain places people don't walk, you know, like it's not New York City where you're just like, oh, there's someone on the street. It's like a woman randomly walking on the side of the road and like with no direction of where she's going, no bags. You know what I mean? It's like, what is she doing?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's not even a sidewalk or anything. Yeah. Like, so she's just walking on, like you said, on the side of the road. Yeah. And then the guy's like, "Hey, is everything all right? Are you okay?" No. And she's like, What do you want? I'm not a hooker." And the guy's response is, "Well, I never said that you were. Sorry. I just was asking if you're all right." And then he drives off. And she's like, "Fucking men are disgusting."
Yeah, I was so happy he just drove off and we didn't have to have a long scene of them having a back and forth. And then
then they end up fucking,
or just like her explaining the like history of men and their hero nature or something like
yeah.
Like I just didn't. I was like, all right, like this isn't even what this episode's about. Like it's just thrown in there, like
yeah. And it was so weird.
And then it gets doubled down later too with the cop car for some reason. So now I don't even know what the.
Yeah. And so then the next scene is Marnie FaceTiming with some dude that we've never seen in this series before.
Yeah.
And their role play FaceTime sexting.
Yeah. Where
she's like a British. They're both British? Are they both British?
I think she's playing a British
like
stewardess, and he's the pilot, and her name is Shelley. And the guy's played by Brad Morris. I've seen him in some shows. I think he's a comedian. Yeah. Playing a character, Delvin P.
Yeah. They're going back and forth about like, oh, there's a guy in 11C and he said that he's having problems with his dick. Should I go inspect his dick? And Delvin's like, yeah, you should put the oxygen mask on his dick. Or
it's like really bad. Like I wasn't even paying attention. I was like, this is bad. Like
it's horrible.
I wasn't sure if Delvin felt like it was bad too.
Like he should have, because it was. It was rough, man. Yeah. So then Lorraine barges in. Marnie's just getting barged in on like constantly. Nobody knocks in this household.
Yeah. You know, lock a door. Lock a door.
That's true too.
Yeah.
So she barges in and Marnie's like masturbating and she's like, oh, throws the phone, takes her hand out from between her legs and Lorraine's like, we're out of breast milk. I'm sorry. Yeah. And then closes the door. And then you just hear Dalvin in the background saying something like, this is the pilot speaking.
Like, yeah, you could still hear him on the phone.
Yeah. So then Marnie comes down and Lorraine is like, yeah, we're out of breast milk and we can't get any until Hannah comes back. And also I'm sorry that that I walked in on you masturbating.
She says beating off the start.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was such a funny use of that. And Marnie is just like, no, I wasn't. No, what? No, I didn't do that. And then the mom's like, no, it's fine. Yeah, masturbating. That's what I live alone. Like, it's fine. Like,
yeah.
And Lorraine has walked in on Hannah masturbating multiple times.
Absolutely.
Like, I feel like because Marnie's character, she would want to try to deny it. But because of Lorraine and who she is and who her daughter is, I feel like if anyone's going to walk in on you doing that, you want it to be her. Because there's going to be no
she
judgment.
Seems very understanding.
There's going to be no judgment, no shame, not something that she keeps in the back of her mind and like brings up at a dinner party. Like, this will not even be top 50 on her things that she's seen in her life.
Well, yeah, I mean, we saw an episode where the dad like cracked his skull in the bathtub because they were fucking in the shower.
Yeah.
Like, Marnie masturbating, that's a walk in the park. That's nothing.
And, Hannah's had her OCD masturbating issues, and I'm sure that has come up. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Do you want to do a little Joe's Fashion Corner on the pajamas that Marnie
Look,
is wearing?
man, I just hate pajamas. Like, if you have pajamas, fuck off. Like, you sleep in shorts and a t-shirt or underwear and a t-shirt or like stuff that you are like, if you specifically go out and buy weird nighty button-up pajamas, go fuck yourself. You're weird. Who do you think you are? Like, it seems unnecessarily fancy in like 1950s. I hate it. I hate it so much.
I just wanted to give you the pulpit to speak.
Well, wasn't it like earlier in the series? I think that
it was Mimi Rose.
Marnie. Yeah, Mimi Rose.
Mimi Rose is where you attack the pajama. I have to say, I noticed Marnie's pajamas here, and I was like, "What is this?" Because we've gone from her like in her like lingerie, and then these pajamas are so. It doesn't look like anything that she would ever wear. That threw me off. Yeah.
It is like a little kid's pajamas.
Yeah, like what is happening? Maybe that's what they were going for.
I can get down with pajama pants because pajama pants you wear around the house. They're like house pants or whatever. But Marnie, when she's masturbating, she has like a tank top on, and I'm assuming, just underwear on the bottom. But I don't know because they have the covers covering her.
Probably, hopefully nothing if she's masturbating, but maybe. Yeah. I mean, who knows?
But if she showed up downstairs with, the tank top and the pajama pants, down with that. That's fine.
I think in this scene, she's definitely going to try to cover herself up and look more prudish, or not prudish, but more innocent after what just happened.
Here's what's acceptable. All right. The tank top and the pajama pants, acceptable. The tank top, pajama pants, maybe a robe over top to cover herself up some more, acceptable. What she came down in, matching pajama set, unacceptable. So awful.
What if she mismatched? Like if she mismatched them? Like if she had a different top and different bottom? Like you buy two sets and then you swap.
That would make me want to puke. That's awful. Okay. Can you imagine buttoning a shirt to go to sleep in? Like, fuck you. Like, that's awful. Like, that's not comfortable.
You don't sleep in your button downs? With
no,
the tie,
dude,
just loosen the tie and go to bed?
Dude, it's so terrible. You don't need to do that.
No.
It's terrible. Like, I can't imagine like doing work to fucking go to sleep. But I also here's how I stand. Like, I don't wear button down shirts like to go out in. Like, for me, it's like t-shirt, jeans, or I'm wearing a suit. Like, there's no in between for me.
No, I'll rock a nice button down to go out.
And that's acceptable. That's totally acceptable. And
as long as you accept it, I'll continue to do it.
I respect it.
Yeah.
Because that's a good look. It's just like, that's not my look. All right. But this button down pajama top, no.
We're going to get a lot of videos from listeners just burning their pajamas after you just.
And they should. If you have that and you're listening to this right now, toss it. Sleep in a t-shirt. It's so much more comfortable. It's so much more comfortable. And it's so much easier.
I just picture someone writing in like, Joe changed my life. I've been sleeping in pajama tops this whole time, and I switched.
And they should. They should appreciate that. How much easier is it just to slip on a t-shirt versus buttoning a shirt to sleep? Go fuck yourself.
Hey, some people don't live in California. It gets cold.
Wear a sweatshirt. Wear a hoodie.
Yeah, I'm just playing.
Wear a long sleeve t-shirt.
I don't care.
Double up on blankets.
All right. Fashion corner
this
over?
is going to be my stance forever. Like those pajama tops are terrible.
I thought you would have more to say about the actual look of the pajamas, not just the pajamas in general. But okay.
I mean, I didn't, because of the SD version, I didn't really see what the pattern was on the pajamas. I was doing the best I could.
That's
doing the best
asterisk.
I can, Vance.
That's the asterisk next to every fashion corner. Joe doesn't really know what he look like.
See, the thing is, like, I liked what Marnie had on more than what Mimi Rose had on. Like really? Silky pajama.
Really?
The silky ones, those are worse to me. I think that they're probably more comfortable because like silky is probably pretty nice. But
Mimi Rose looked real comfortable in that. Like, and she was and she was like walking around. That was like all like you could spend the whole day in that. I feel like.
Yeah. So I think that that's more comfortable, but I think the look of it is worse. It's very 1950s, like, who are you trying to impress? The housewife type thing. And I don't dig that. Mm-hmm. I think that might be better than Marnie's. But Marnie's just doesn't seem comfortable either.
We've been talking about pajamas for so long.
It's like wool versus silk. They're all terrible. Matching pajama sets. Fuck off. Anyway, so where were we?
They ended up finding some formula in the house.
Yes.
I don't know why they have the formula. I guess just in case of emergencies. And they're like, well, we need this. And then Lorraine shows it to Marnie, and Marnie looks at the ingredient. She's like, it's not that bad.
Yeah, this isn't even that bad.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, they're going to give the baby formula. And Hannah's going to flip out, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
No, not really.
They could have done it like behind her back and lied or whatever. But so this is the part that I found very interesting is Lorraine basically confronts Marnie to be like, hey, what are you doing here? Like, why are you doing this? Are you happy doing this? And Marnie is like, oh, I mean, yeah, I'm happy, I guess. And Lorraine's like, are you though? And Marnie's like, nah. But Marnie frames it as like, it's not my turn to be happy.
Oh, did she say that?
It's like,
oh, geez.
She said it was something like that where it was like, it's not my time. That's what it was. Hannah needs me. And I'm here sacrificing parts of my life to make her happy, to make this easier for her because I'm a good friend. And Lorraine's like, dude, this would be so much better for you and for Hannah if you were all happy.
Yeah, it was something about like being like, is this what friendship is? Like giving up your happiness for someone else, you know?
Yeah. And Lorraine says something about like, you know, I was raising a kid with my best friend and I thought that we were all happy, but we weren't. And it turned out miserable. Because she's referencing Tad, right?
Tad, yeah. And I was just like, what? If this was like something that was building, if we were building towards Hannah and Marnie raising, like if Marnie had found out like, oh, I'm moving this way, and Marnie was like, okay, I'm coming, as opposed to it being sprung on us at the beginning of the episode and then time jumped, it just seemed like, all right, like you guys didn't end on a good note last episode that we saw, and all of a sudden, like now you want to be the best friend, you want to sacrifice everything. Marnie doesn't do stuff not selfishly, you know what I mean? Like she would have some reason, like, and I guess her reason is just to prove that she's a really good friend, which seems so small in the grand scheme of this.
This is what Wikipedia says about this scene. It says, Lorraine advises Marnie that she should not put her love for Hannah above her own happiness, as she herself had lost her own, quote, best friend, parentheses, Tad, by making the same mistake. And I think that's a really good summation of that scene.
No, that's not how, because that's not how she lost Tad. She didn't lose Tad because she put her emotions in front of his own. Like, he was gay and closeted, and he came to a
Yeah, you know
realization. Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Like, that's a whole different situation.
That's a good point, Vance.
Yeah,
I was trying to think of an argument against it to justify it, but I'm just going to go along with you.
Yeah, there's nothing Lorraine could have done to stop Tad from being gay.
Yeah, good point.
Like, yeah, no.
Fuck you, Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So while all of this is happening, Hannah's, of course, on her side quest where she's walking around this neighborhood aimlessly, running away from home. And then she runs into a girl that runs out of her house screaming like, I can't believe you. Like, get away from me, you fucking monster. I need to get out of here. And she starts running away, and she's like in her underwear and a sweatshirt. And Hannah sees her and she's like, are you all right? Is everything okay? And the girl's like, yeah, I'm fine. I just need to get out of here. And Hannah's like, no. Don't, like, is everything okay? Like, are you hurt? Is everything okay? I'm a safe person. You can trust me. Which is weird. Mm-hmm. I thought it was weird to like say, like, whenever somebody says that, that's so creepy and weird to me.
Yeah, she's also walking around by herself outside too. So like,
yeah. So the girl's like, no, not everything is okay. And she calls her ma'am. And then Hannah's like, okay, the ma'am, a little much.
She just doesn't like she's not ready to be an adult yet.
Yeah. So the girl is like, I just need to get out of here. Like, my boyfriend, he needs to know where I am, and I need to use a cell phone. And Hannah's like, well, I don't have my cell phone on me, but you can't be walking around here in just your underwear. And she's like, here, take my pants, take my shoes. And the girl puts them on. She's like, these are pretty big.
She's like, they're big on me too.
Yeah, Hannah's like, they're big on me too. Shut up.
Okay, you go on. I have thoughts, but yeah.
So it makes it seem like the girl is running away from an abusive boyfriend or something like that, because she, that's just the assumption that Hannah makes, and the assumption that, us, the viewers, are supposed to make as well. And Hannah's like, well, tell me what's going on, what's happening. And then the girl tells the story of what was happening, and it was that she had homework due on Friday, and it is Wednesday, and her mom wanted her to do the homework that night so she can get it out of the way before she went to her boyfriend's house. And that was the only way that she was going to let her daughter see her boyfriend, is if she did her homework first. And then the girl was like, well, fuck you. You don't own me, and that's unfair. Why would I do it tonight if it's due Friday? And that's basically the story. And then Hannah's like, so wait, you ran out of your house because your mom wanted you to do your homework early, and you ran out screaming that she's a monster because she wants you to get things done early? And the girl's like, yeah, basically. And then Hannah's like, give me back my fucking pants.
Yeah. It was crazy when she took off her pants to give them to someone else. Like,
right.
It's like that Kramer and Seinfeld thing where like he's like returning pants. It's like this story he has where he's like, oh yeah, I returned the pants, but then they got dirty when I was walking there. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, the pants you were wearing were the ones you were going to return. It's like this thing like, what? No, you don't have any pants. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And this scene does something that is a bit of a pet peeve of mine in shows and stuff. And they do it a lot in rom-coms. It's like when people don't say what's happening and they have to do hurdles to like avoid saying what happened. Like there's so much
vagaries, dude.
There's so much at the top of this where she could just say what's happening. And she's like, and she's like, oh, it's just a monster. I just need help. I just need a phone to make a phone call. Like, just like, eventually you're going to say it. But like, why are you burying this lead? Just for that like payoff, And it's.
I fucking hate that too. And a girl recently did that to me in real life. And I was so pissed. This girl got into a car accident, right? And she totaled her car. And I was like, oh my God, that's fucking crazy. What? And she kept being like, yeah, man, drivers in LA, they're crazy. And I was like, yeah, because I also got into an accident not too long ago and my car got totaled because a guy ran through a red light and smashed my car. And I told her that and I was like, yeah, so like what happened with you? And she was like, yeah, man, I was driving on the highway and I made a turn and I just ran into a wall. And I was like, that was it? Like nobody hit you or anything? And she was like, no, I just ran into a wall. And I was like, why are you saying LA drivers are crazy?
Yeah, what is that?
You're the fucking crazy driver. You did this unprompted. And she was like, yeah, I was going 85. And I was like, you were going 85? You're lucky to be alive. No, I was like, you were going 85? And she goes, yeah, don't you drive 85 on the highway? And I was like, yeah, I do, but I don't run into walls.
Yeah.
Like, I was so pissed because she made it was like, yeah, drivers in LA, that's crazy, right? And I thought we were going to have like a bonding moment because I got hit by a crazy driver. But no, this fucking girl just smashed into a wall. And I was like, you duped me.
Yeah. That's a weird way to be like, oh yeah, drivers in LA, crazy. But walls. The walls.
Yeah. I was like, dude, you're the crazy driver. And she's like, yeah, I guess. I was like, no, fucking, I guess. That's what, and I was in that fucking moment where like I should have told that girl, give me back my pants.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
And that girl runs away with her pants and shoes.
Yeah. And Hannah's like, great. Well, fuck you. Your mom. She basically gives her a speech about like your mom wants you to do your homework because she wants you to be the best that you can be. And you're being selfish and stupid. And your mom would rather be doing so many other things than telling you to do your homework. But she's not because she loves you and she cares about you. And then the girl's like, fuck you. And then runs off with Hannah's pants.
There's a great line in there. It's like, what do you think your mom will do when you come back home? And the girl's like, give me a hug. And she's like, yes, because she loves you and only cares about your safety and well-being, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about that right now. And it would have been a nice bow if when Hannah goes back home, she just hugged her mom.
Yes.
Like, it just would have been nice,
Yes.
Because we get her saying this to this random girl who I don't think has a name at all, right? So she says all the stuff that she needs to, which she's like, Hannah's having her realization and she's saying it to this girl. But this is stuff that she needs to like take in, realize, and then apologize to the mom about what she just did, what this girl is doing to her mom just before this.
Yeah.
And it's like, you realized it, but then we don't get any satisfaction of Lorraine realizing that you've realized it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Why? Like, this should be for the people at that place to realize, like Marnie and Lorraine to realize, oh, I've come to an understanding.
Hannah should have come home and, like you said, like hugged Lorraine, hugged Marnie or something, apologized. But no, we don't get any of that. We just get, this episode is so disappointing, dude. It's so disappointing.
Like, if it wasn't a finale too, it'd be fine. But it's just, if you're going to leave off the way this is, and that's going to be the last image of this series, like...
Yes.
So strange.
I can't agree more, man. Like, It's so bad. Like, there's no fucking...
Yeah, again, not a bad episode as a whole, but just not a finale, man.
Yeah.
No.
So, Hannah's walking through the streets, pantsless and shoeless, and behind her, a cop pulls up next to her and is like, hey, is everything all right? Like, what are you doing? And Hannah's like, nah, I just had a baby and like shit's going crazy right now. And the cop's like, okay,
I kind of loved her. Like, he's like, where's your pants and shoes? And then she's like, I just had a baby. He's like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of like that.
That makes sense. Yeah. So he's like, how about do you live around here? And she's like, yeah, I just live a little ways down that way. And he's like, how about you get in the car and I'll give you a ride home? And Hannah's like, nah, I'm good. And he's like, okay. And then he basically like kind of escorts her home.
Yeah, just following her in the car, talking over the loudspeaker. And just because this show is what it is, I was like, is it dangerous if she gets in that backseat of that cop car?
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
The show has made me so cautious of everything.
Yes. As soon as like he was like, why don't you get in the car? It did seem his offer seemed a little creepy to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't get in that car.
Yeah. And at the end, it doesn't seem like it is.
Yeah.
But at that moment, I'm like, good decision. Do not.
Yeah. So he like escorts her home, just driving next to her and being like, take your time. Like, well, it'll be fine. Like, let's just get you home, get you home safe. Because, I mean, obviously, also, if you are a cop and you see that, you need to do something. Like, obviously, something's not right.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that, like, the citizens of your town or city are safe. So,
yeah, and honestly, that cop has nothing else to do.
Exactly. I was going to say, like, in LA, cops wouldn't do that shit. But, like, in a small town, like, wherever she lives, a cop's going to do that.
Yeah.
So good on him.
And the only other cop is probably helping the girl in the baggy jeans running around. Did you report some stolen shoes and jeans?
Yeah. So then we get to a scene where Marnie and Lorraine are like drinking wine on the porch. They're kind of bonding about like, you know, Lorraine's like, so what are you going to do next, Marnie? Like, what's up with you? You can't just be doing this with Hannah forever. And then Marnie's like, well, I kind of was thinking about going back to law school. And Lorraine's like, boring.
Lorraine's on fire this episode, man.
Yeah, Lorraine's awesome in the.
Ever since she did those gummies, she's been on one.
Yeah. And then Marnie's like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. Then Lorraine says something about like, yeah, I have a friend that's a judge. You'd be a good judge. I was like, you have to go to law school in order to be a judge, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like you don't just become a judge.
Yeah. And then she talks about how her friend is a judge and she goes on all these dates from Christian Mingle. And Marnie's like, really? That sounds so cool. That does not sound cool.
Yeah, like you have Tinder at your fingertips, Marnie. Like, what are you talking about?
You're fucking sexting Dalvin or whatever.
Why does this character get a full name like we're gonna meet him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's why I think that did they think that there was gonna be another season?
I don't know. I have to look into that. We'll bring that up in the follow-up episode where we recap the whole series. But yeah, I was just like, oh. And she's like, oh, it was a guy, Delvin P. And I'm like, is this information that I can use? Like, what is this?
Are we going to see him again? No. So then Hannah arrives and the officer's like, all right, have a good night. And she's like, thanks, officer. And his name is Officer like Schnooped.
Oh, God.
I saw in the closed caption, his name is like SCHNOOPT. I was like, what the fuck name is that?
Just why not?
What kind of name is Officer Schnooped?
Why not? We got Grover, we got Delvin P, we got Snooped.
So Hannah comes and she sits down between Lorraine and Marnie, and Lorraine gives her glass of wine. And as soon as she sits down, basically, you know, Lorraine's like, where are your pants? And Hannah's like, it was a long story. And then she takes a sip of wine, and then immediately Grover starts crying.
Yeah.
And then they're like, let's go help her. Let's go help with Grover. And Hannah's like, no. I got this. Don't worry about it. I'm going to go up and I'm going to fucking coddle this motherfucker.
In this moment, is that supposed to be the grand moment where, like, Hannah made a realization? Is that her being like, oh, yeah, I got this? Like, and everyone's like, oh, wow, you are a parent now. Because I feel like that's the least you could do after just disappearing and coming back pantsless. Like, yeah. I'm not like, oh, she's really growing up. She left the house and now is coming back with no shoes or pants.
Yeah. I think if there was a big moment, it was when she was berating the teenage girl.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, for Marnie and Lorraine, like, how are they viewing this scenario? Because they both get up and then she tells them both to sit down and continue drinking and hanging out. And she's going to go take care of the baby. you know? And
yeah.
I just feel like
this scene needed a group hug and an apology.
it just like there's so many more questions. Like if your daughter shows up and she's been gone and like she doesn't have pants on, and also they mentioned that they gave Grover formula and he liked it, and she's just like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, she's not gonna blow up about that. She's not gonna like have some like response of like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that moment is kind of like when you become a parent, I think that you have a lot of idea. And again, I'm not a parent. I don't know anything about this. But I think that when you become a parent, you have all these ideals and you have all these like, no, I'm going to do it this way and it's going to be strict like this. And then you just need to find a way to make it work eventually because, you're going to need to adapt because all of your plans are going to go to shit.
Yep.
So Hannah goes upstairs and she's trying to soothe Grover, and she sits down and she's like, all right, I'm gonna get this baby to breastfeed. And she sits down, she pulls out her boob, and she finally gets Grover to latch on and start feeding from her. And it's a zoom in tight on her face, and she looks real happy. And then that is the end of the episode. That is the end of the series. And our closing moments are just Hannah singing a sweet lullaby to Grover.
You know what's really weird about it ending with the baby latching on? Is that the episode started with the baby used to latch on, right?
Mm.
And then it just stopped all of a sudden. And the doctor's like, maybe it'll come back. It's kind of fickle. Who knows? Suggestion of formula. Adamant about not wanting to use formula. The moment right before she goes to breastfeed, they say they gave the baby formula. You know, like it would almost be one of those, like you were saying, like adjusting your plans. It would be like if she decided, okay, I'm going to give the baby formula because it's not taking the milk, but it was drinking from the bottle too. It wasn't like it wasn't drinking breast milk at all. It was just like it just wasn't latching on and breastfeeding naturally.
Yeah,
and some people pump just to like, oh, I'm just going to have this so I don't have to breastfeed at work or like whatever. And here's a bottle or like the dad's taking the baby. So here's the bottles. Like no one, people are different, you want your baby to want to do the natural thing, but whatever. It's just really strange that this is the ending of this. Like this is what it was building towards,
No Shoshana, no Jessa.
No Ray follow up with Abigail, which I guess is just that weird carousel ride.
No Adam.
I guess Adam and Jess are still together. It's a 5-month jump.
No Elijah.
Like, was Jessa pregnant? Remember we had that like thing when she threw up and we weren't sure? I guess that was just her throwing up. I guess. Did they think they were having a 7th season? That's interesting. I don't think they did.
It had to have been. This just feels like such an unnatural ending. Like, it doesn't seem like it was the end. Like, they had to have thought that it was going to go on or something. I just don't know.
And I was wondering why did Hannah's mom fly there when the dad is literally an hour away in the city? And last episode he talked about how if she went here, they could pop up, if they needed help.
Yeah, I just don't know.
I guess
Elijah's
Broadway performance is fine. Like he just got, I don't know. It just seems, I don't know. I would have really liked last episode to be the last episode, the one before this.
Yeah, me too. I agree with you. But that's it. We did it, Vance. We made it. Oh, no, this was supposed to be the thing. This was supposed to be the finale. HBO announced its 6th season would be its last, allowing the writers to create a proper finale. So that was intentional. That's how it was supposed to be.
Yeah. Adam was gone 2 episodes ago.
It was a letdown. This was a letdown. I felt like the last episode was a perfect ending, and then this, like I said at the beginning, it was an unnecessary epilogue, and it made me have more questions and want to see more, but we're not going to.
Yeah. I mean, this show always does surprise us and like do stuff that we don't expect. With an epilogue, I would have loved to just see. I don't know what I would have wanted with an epilogue. I don't know what I wanted to see. Maybe I just wanted to follow up with some of the characters.
Yeah.
I'm like super curious about Adam and Jessa's relationship after what happened. I was curious about Ray, like what he was going to do.
Same. I wish I would have done like a spin-off of like girls minus Hannah and Marnie.
Yeah.
Because I got attached to the other characters.
Like, so Desi walking away from that show that day, that was it for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it. We hit it. We hit the end.
Yeah.
Have any final thoughts on this episode?
Before we get to the likabilities?
Yeah, the season 6 likability rankings.
No, I don't really. I think this is it. And like I've alluded to, we're gonna do a full series recap episode so we can dive deeper into all of these arcs. But yeah.
All right. So likability rankings for season 6, and I will say things have changed mightily based off of this episode alone.
Would you like to take the lead on this? Because I am woefully unprepared for this one.
Oh, Vance. I am woefully unprepared as well.
We're finishing strong.
Because here's the thing, it's really weird because throughout this whole season, I've been a fan of Hannah, but this last episode tanked her stock so fucking hard.
I know.
So fucking hard. It's like she heard that we were doing like ability rankings and she was like near the top. And she's like, let me see how fast I can plummet.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no like. So do we want to do the guys first, or do you want to just, are they even worth doing?
I feel like the guys aren't worth doing because I feel like they weren't really in the last episode. Yeah, it's the same. Like Elijah's awesome, Ray's awesome, and then Adam's like somewhere in the middle, and Desi sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go. We nailed that one.
And Chuck Palmer's still the most awful person in the world.
Oh my God. Yeah. That guy's fucking insane. That psychopath.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Let's. Everyone loves these likability rankings. Here, I think Shoshana has to go to the top of my list just for the call out in the last episode.
Yes, I agree. Shoshana, number one, she's not in it enough to really do anything unlikable. Nope. And her mean thing in the last episode where she like calls everybody out and is like, dude, we're not friends. It's hurtful to hear, but it's the truth. And she's like, I have new priorities. I have new friends. None of you guys ever treated me like a friend. So like, let's just stop pretending that we're friends. Like, it's fine. Like we're moving on.
Yeah. They never treated her like a friend. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And she brings that up. Like she says it to Hannah. And she's like, dude, like I was the last fucking person to hear that you're pregnant. Why would I invite you to my engagement party? Like you'd never respected me as a friend.
Yeah.
So for her being like a supportive friend to Ray, who we all love, and basically like doing nothing offensive throughout this season,
like she's
got to be number one.
She's barely in this season. Yeah.
She's barely in it. And so she just takes number one by default. Number two, and Shoshana's number one by like a distant margin, I feel.
Yeah.
Everybody else is like so far behind.
But is your number two? This is
my
tough.
number two is Jessa.
Number two is Jessa. Yeah, it really falls hard this episode with Hannah, because otherwise I think Hannah takes this spot. Yeah.
Without this episode, Hannah's number two, and it's like then it's a chasm between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But now it's a chasm between 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And Jessa ekes out number 2.
I don't even think it's that big of a chasm with Jessa, because she's not terrible this season at all. I don't think.
Yeah. And like, it seemed like the last episode she had a realization about herself, and like maybe there's room for growth where she's like, look, I looked into the mirror and I saw who I was and I didn't like it and I'm working on it. And I quit being trying to be a therapist because I knew I wasn't where I needed to be.
Which, I mean, I don't know if that's a valid enough reason to not be a therapist.
Well, yeah, but for her it is. And like, I respect that, you know. She's looking at the man in the mirror. You know what I'm saying?
I just hate that Jessa never got something to latch onto, like latching.
Yeah. And I mean, her and Adam's relationship was weird, and she fucks that guy in the bathroom.
We don't know if she did. I'm not trusting Wikipedia's response on that.
But yeah, I think that she's number 2. But
I mean, the only thing that she had is like she tried to befriend Hannah again and got shut down for that. And then, the episode where she's like, seems like she wants to break bad, but she doesn't really, you know? Because like Jessa going full out, like we've seen that. And like she can go wild. And she shows restraint during that episode when Adam just decides to have a 1 day long affair with Hannah. Yeah.
She goes through it, and you know she's dealing with it kind of unhealthily, I guess. But you know, her whole life got turned upside down.
Yeah, I mean that's not. I mean, what she smoked a cigarette and went to a bar and drank a seltzer water, like whatever,
and maybe banged a guy in a bathroom,
which I would say is completely fine considering what Adam's doing at the exact same time.
Yeah, and then she's making, you know, she made the movie with Adam, and you know, whatever, that was fine.
Yeah, I mean, she got jealous of seeing Adam with the person he obviously still has feelings for because he immediately left to try to raise that baby with her.
So, it looks like we both got Jessa at number 2. Yeah. Now, 3 and 4 is where things get interesting, I think. For me, number 3 is Hannah.
Yeah.
Because she was good throughout the season. Like, you know, it's typical Hannah selfish stuff. And like, again, we said she would be number 2, maybe even like 1A, 1B with Shoshana, if not for this last episode where she is so unnecessarily cruel to her mom and to Marnie, and there's no apology, there's no resolution, there's no reconciliation. It's just she comes home and I think it's like Marnie and Laureen know that she's sorry, but she never actually says it. And knowing that you're sorry and like having the respect to lower yourself to say it out loud is a big deal.
Yeah.
And she never does that.
Yeah, I just wanted a little bit more when she comes back home, because she has had that realization by running into that girl. And just the hurtful thing that she said about the mom and the dad and Tad, and like just a low blow and not accurate. So like that's really the only like black mark on her season, really.
Yeah, but it is a huge black mark. Yeah. Like she saw a black mark and she hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
Like she nailed being an asshole. But for one episode.
Yeah. But I will say, even in this episode, Marnie was still fighting with her to be the worst.
Yep. Marnie was like, I'm not giving up this worst crown that easily. And she takes it.
That opening
Marnie
scene,
number 4.
That opening scene.
Psychotic.
Yeah.
And I get that like her heart may have been in the right place, but it seemed like her heart was only in the right place for purely selfish reasons, to prove that like she's the best and she's a good mom and she's a better mom even than Hannah.
It was horror movie level of her being like, I win. I'm the best friend. And like Hannah's face is just like, oh geez. Like she just crawled in the bed with her too. Like it's real like messed up.
And we can't forgive all the terrible lashing out and selfishness and narcissism that she's portrayed throughout this entire season. Yes. And then she continues it in this episode where Hannah's like, I'm going to make a run at this like worst girl crown. And then Marnie's like, nah, dude. Marnie Heisman stiff arms her to the ground.
Marnie's like, oh yeah, these all look like formula babies in here. Like just
judgmental.
Just the way she treated Desi. The line that she said about Ray when Ray broke up with her, he should have just been lucky that I would even talk to him. Like, yeah, I feel like that's where the chasm is. The chasm isn't 1 to 2. It's between 3 and 4. Like, I think
what's so crazy?
Down.
I feel like there's a chasm between all of the numbers. It's so weird.
Well, no,
man.
I mean, Hannah's not that far from Jessa.
You really think so?
I mean, if you're only judging her for this one episode's stuff, other than that, she would easily be number 2.
I don't know, man. This episode is like just unforgivable to me. Like, it's so mean. And then like there's not even an apology. Like there's no humbling yourself. Yeah. And it was so mean.
But that is the girl that we used to get. Like,
yeah,
that's the Hannah that we normally had. And that was when it was, and I was like, what happened? Like, because Hannah became likable more and more as the season's gone, because she only would throw these out every now and then, and it would be it would be like one episode she does something off-putting, but the rest of it she's fine, you know.
I'm kind of glad that this episode, you know, it's a double-edged sword. I hate that this is the last episode. I think that the episode previously, Goodbye Tour, was a better finale. But I'm glad that this is the finale because now I won't miss this show. You know, when I was watching Goodbye Tour, I was like getting nostalgic and being like, oh man, this is New York life and I miss it. And I'm going to miss watching this show. And like, I miss these girls already. Yeah. And then watching this episode, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm glad that this is like, this is such a sour taste in my mouth. Goodbye. See ya.
That's a good point. Like, it's like, go away. It's saying go away, not like remember the good times.
Yeah. This is like, you know, when you like a bittersweet breakup was the last episode where you're like, I wish we didn't have to do this. And then this episode was like when you get back together and realize that it wasn't that great and there was a reason why you broke up.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. That's so good. Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, it wasn't perfect. No, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you chew really loud and I hate that. All right. Well, thank you all for listening and coming on this fucking 64 week journey with us. Yeah. I can't thank you all enough for listening. And, you know, like we said, this isn't the last episode of Boys Watching Girls. We're going to do some more stuff. We got a couple more episodes coming up. So stay tuned. But yeah, just want to say a big, genuine thank you. We didn't think that we were going to get it to grow as much as it did. Like, this is kind of a niche podcast, and it's grown pretty significantly. Like, really surprising.
Yeah, considering that none of us have worked on girls or starred in girls, and we're doing a podcast about it. Pretty successful in that rate.
Yeah. So I'm really thankful, and I'm glad that we got to do this. I want to thank you, Vance, for doing this as well. Like, because it was a good time, man.
Yeah, I want to thank you for, you know, bringing me into the podcast world that you had been in for a minute. And it's been a wild, fun ride, I guess. I don't even know.
Yeah. I had a good time. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that it's over. At least the series, anyway.
Yeah, I'm excited for our future episodes that we have planned and some special surprises we got coming up. And definitely people write in with your Q&A, your questions, and anything you want us to bring up in a special episode that we're planning on doing. So yeah, write in, DM us.
Yeah, right. To email in those questions or things that you want to hear us talk a bit more about. It's BoysWatchingGirlsPodcast@gmail.com. Or you could DM us on Instagram. We have a IG page, and it's at Boys Watching Girls Podcast. Or I guess the Facebook page. We have a Facebook fan page.
Yeah,
which
BWG Podcasts.
Yeah. Wait, what were the results of the poll about the pooping in the streets?
Let's see.
Because I conducted my own poll on my Instagram about it as well. And I asked if people have ever pooped in public. And it was a yes or no question. Mm-hmm. I got 6 yes and 5 no.
Wow, so you were almost split.
Yeah, it was split until literally the last minute where somebody came in and was like, I'm going to be the tiebreaker. And then they voted yes. So I was like, wow, okay.
Let's see.
I feel like the last time I looked at the thing, I was the only yes vote.
Yeah, right
Facebook.
Now it's 75% no and 1% yes. And I feel like you're the yes.
I am the yes.
Yeah. But in your friend group it's 50-50, so you're hanging out with the right people, I guess.
No, in my friend group it's 55-45.
Yeah.
But taking into account the Facebook poll answers, it is slightly skewed towards the no.
Yeah, which is a good thing. I think it should be less people.
Look, I'm not promoting it. I'm not saying that you should do it. I'm just saying that I did it, and I feel like people have done it. Yeah. And I was proven kind of correct.
I'll say it seemed like you were a little proud of it.
It's a little impressive.
Normally when people do that, it's like, oh man, it was a bad situation. Not like talking about with the chest out.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the episode on Latching, everybody. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned. We got some more episodes coming. We're going to do some special bonus episodes, and like we said earlier, we got to do some like Q&A if you want to hear us talk about something else. Once again, thank you so much for coming on this very long journey with us, and thank you, Vance, and we fucking made it, man.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah.
All right. Stay tuned for the next episode. See ya.
Who's here? I'm here. I win. I'm your best friend. I'm the best at being your friend. I love you the most.
Okay.